From Las Vegas, it's Dry Heat with Mike Davis.
All right, well, you know the voice. I heard the voice in the hallway, and I was already getting excited. He's already said one word today here in the den at FOX5 Studios. He said eroticism, and I was excited.
In context, it made sense.
Can we can you say eroticism?
Eroticism.
See, when Kenny Mayne utters the word eroticism, it sounds
And that's what
different.
this show's about today. We're talking relationships. We're taking your questions, and we're going to fix and heal people today.
That's the key. And Wiffle Ball might make its way into the bedroom.
You know what? I've had people say, because you know how it is, like they'll say, I don't want to say it. I'm not going to go there. Never mind.
Do it. Come on, have fun. We don't.
No, people, like we had here's a better example. We had the Main Street show. I used to do like a comedy show on ESPN.com. We had Aubrey Plaza, Allison Becker, John Glazer, Ben Schwartz, John Mulaney.
Oh.
He was in one episode. And then me. And it was about my life at ESPN. But I remember there was a key line where I said, thank you for watching SportsCenter, even if we were just background during sex. Right? You know that you're on in the kitchen, in people's bedroom. Like, that was always weird to me, how people are watching you.
I love that. And I honestly, when I first fell in love with you, I was still a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could have had you in the background while I was having sex, I would have chosen that. That would have probably.
So you were a kid in New Jersey. What years are these?
I'm 32. I turned 33 on Saturday. So
You were like kindergarten when I was on.
No, what are you talking? Well, in the beginning, but yes.
I started in '94 at ESPN2, and I remember distinctly the guy said, "Don't have any aspirations of moving to SportsCenter. You're on ESPN2. Be happy with that." Right? They didn't want people like, "Hey, I want to do the 11." And things changed, and I eventually got a chance and ended up getting to move over to Channel 1.
You were always my guy, though. I mean, because I think I heard, Dan Patrick, who I love as well, said a lot of interesting things. He said Bob Lee taught him how to be a journalist on SportsCenter. Mm-hmm. He said Keith Olbermann taught him how to be entertaining. Mm-hmm. And then he said you taught him humor. And I think it's so full circle to learn about what you're doing. Not only are we going to be getting into Wiffle Ball and this great documentary you have about a little competition you had with Ken Griffey Jr., but you're also performing now comedy. And you're on the stage at Jimmy Kimmel's here in Las Vegas at the LINQ. And it's a full circle thing for you because you always demonstrated your unique ability, your forte, your dry sense of humor. It was like watching Steve Carell on The Office, but do sports at the desk. It was a very beautiful thing that you could bring to the screen and engage viewers with. And we all know, even from Sunday NFL Countdown and all the little things you did. So when did you first find this quality? Because it was so natural, so organic, but how did you know that was your special sauce coming into such a big pressure gig at ESPN?
Well, I mean, the thing I'm doing tonight, I've never done, actually. I've been in front of audiences, banquets and the upfronts, the big ad sales thing. I've done that, a million times. So that part, there's whatever. There's people out there and you do your thing and try to stay focused. But on the air, doing it comedically, I think it was just I always say the thing that I ended up doing for a career is kind of what got me sent out in the hall in 5th grade a lot. And I mean that. I spent a lot of time in Mr. Bell's class in the hall. And because I was, what's the funniest thing I can say right now? To own the room, right? That was the goal. And maybe sometimes I was like a disruption in class. I got those marks, on your report card. But I don't know. I grew up watching Johnny Carson. My dad was funny. My friends were funny. My sister's boyfriend, just Bugs Bunny, Get Smart, Bullwinkle, Jetsons,
Wow.
Stanford and Son. I'm leaving out 100 more. George Carlin, Richard Pryor. I think you just consume all this as a young kid.
Right.
And I'm not copying them, but they kind of inform you. And the key thing, I always say this to everybody, it's overused, but being authentic. I'm the same guy, right? I'm essentially acting like you would expect for having seen me as a kindergartner. But yet you have to read the hockey names correctly and get the score right. So that you had to be a little more official in doing a SportsCenter, yet get in your cracks when you could.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I think ESPN was so successful, because Rich Eisen, everybody had a unique voice.
Stewart, yeah.
Stewart had that. So for you to have those, that unique quality, I think that was a big drawing factor. But let's go back a little bit further in time, because I think what's fascinating here is we're here in Las Vegas, Wenatchee is where you were at.
Wenatchee.
Wenatchee.
You know who coached there?
Who?
Quiz. high level NFL coach, innovative
Wenatchee.
passing coach long ago. Breakthrough coach.
Bill Walsh.
You're getting there before him. Revolutionized football to some degree. Don Coryell.
Oh, I don't even know who that is.
He coached Dan Fouts.
Oh, wow, at
San Diego.
Chargers. Okay.
So he was a coach there. I walked on at Washington out of high school. Then I walked off 5 days later. I thought I was better than the freshman, and he was on scholarship, and I wasn't. I was just like, what am I doing here? I want to play. So I went to a junior college called Wenatchee. It's where you get your apples from, right over the mountains. Okay. And then I walked on at UNLV. They looked at me and a guy named Sam King out of JC in LA. They chose him, but I loved the feel of it. I loved the coaching. I was like, I'm going to go try anyway. Immediately got a scholarship, but I was, second string most of the time here.
And Randall was there as
Randall
well.
Cunningham was a freshman when I was a senior. Yeah.
Wow. So you're playing, and I mean, listen, you were. People always talk about your arm. I've heard it in many interviews.
That's all I have, really. I mean,
and your humor. Come on.
And maybe I should have taken football more seriously too. Who knows? I was in there cracking jokes in the huddle, but no, it really is. You're starting to get there. It's kind of cool coming back to Vegas, where some of my best years. 19 years old. When people ask like, what year would you like to get? 19. There was so much in front of me and the opportunity and coming to Vegas and the whole thing. And then I've done some things in Vegas since, come here a bunch of times for stories and conventions and whatnot. And then more recently, I did some work with Caesars for a couple of years.
Right.
And then that was about a year and a half ago that stopped. And now I'm coming back to do something brand new. So I've known Jimmy for a while. Over the holiday, over Christmas just now, I just dreamed up this idea. I got this little movie that's on Fubo Sports. I think I can make up a whole hour show by, getting the thing going and telling childhood stories, and then set the table to then watch.
Right. And this is a 30-minute doc. It's called Wiffle Ball. It's a tape. You have tape from 34 years ago of you actually.
Beta SP.
Right. I don't even know what that is, but news stations definitely do.
Yeah.
That's what we used to use. You had this footage. It was in garages. It was on shelves. Basements. It was all over. Basements.
It's surprising that it still worked. Honestly, a tape that old, like it would oxidize or something.
It's meant to be.
So I ran into Griffey at the Seattle Sports Awards show, which, by the way, I'm going to brag here.
Yeah.
I'm getting an award this year, the Keith Jackson.
Really?
Whatever the hell it's called. Some award named for Keith Jackson, famous broadcaster.
Yeah.
And I asked the lady when she called to tell me I'm going to be honored. I said, do I have to retire? And she's like, you don't have to retire. I mean, your career has diminished for sure, but no, it's just they honor somebody in the greater area, it's kind of cool. I'm very proud. I usually don't brag up what I'm doing, but it ties it back in because Griffey 2 years ago won an award for like legendary achievement as an athlete, right? And afterward, I went up and said, your speech was awesome. Good seeing you. And he brings up the day we threw wiffle balls 34 years previous.
Oh my God.
And in my head, I'm like, if Griffey still thinks about that day, then maybe I should reconsider that day. So I was like, I'm going to make a dumb documentary about that day. It's just like a day in the life story, and it's the quest to find what's on the tape, right? You were saying the tape was so ancient, nobody has those machines anymore.
Right. But
I found a guy, Joe ran in KOMO in Seattle. He had that machine. We put the tape in, and we reveal for the first time in 34 years what happened that day. Ken Burns is in it, the famous documentarian. I got Pearl Jam music, Head in the Heart music, Sam LaChow, good rapper in Seattle. An artist named Keegan Hall does this beautiful drawing of Griffey. We got all these cool elements, and I was able to get it on Fubo TV. And the goal was that I kind of prove I know how to do this, and somebody says, we'll get behind your next one.
So what's fascinating from the little bit I've seen from the documentary Wiffle Ball is it's fascinating how seriously he's taking it, because you are a guy, you played, you even had a tryout with the Seahawks, right? So, I mean, you're a guy who's got an arm. Griffey and you are throwing this wiffle ball, and you said off air it's kind of even more like it was like a pickleball.
Yeah, we found out later that we weren't using a legitimate wiffle ball. I then go back to driveline baseball with a real wiffle ball to try to beat my number.
Right.
And I actually did, because this ball was lighter and had a little more.
It's funny, you were using a lot of expletives, and it was hitting the ground a few times. But the funny thing is, and this is where I'm getting at with this question is, listen, Ken Griffey, when he was in Seattle and he was starting out, this was like LeBron James level fame. It was a major deal. Of course, Ken Griffey Sr., all those things at play, but you could tell, and that's why you've been around enough athletes working at ESPN your whole career he has that special competitive
Oh,
quality.
100%.
Like, for him to remember this at that award show, like, to me, do you think that's a prerequisite, a quality you
edge
need to be that
be
competitive?
Well, I mean, Michael Jordan is the height of it, right?
Exactly.
He doesn't want to lose playing dominoes. He doesn't want to lose who's going to get to the door. You know, I'm not that. I'm competitive. Like, I want to win at things. I went to the eye doctor the other day, and I was like, lower row, G, maybe a B. I don't know, you know. But yeah, Griffey had that. But the thing is, I'll never know. Or he could tell me. Was he trying full speed? Because it didn't look like he was. He turns to Harold Reynolds, who was there, the all-star second baseman. He says, "What do I got to beat?" Thinking he's going to easily beat it, right? And Harold says 61. He's like, he threw 60. He said it just like that. He threw 61, and then Griffey gets a 61. I throw again for another 61. In my mind, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, I think my cameraman double punched and missed my 62. That's my memory.
Are you just effing around? Or are you serious? You really
I'm
think?
dead serious.
Okay.
Well, 100% the tape reveals we tied.
Right, but you think you really,
I really
think he double punched?
I think I threw a 62. My memory leaving there, telling the story through the years, I beat Griffey throwing wiffle balls.
More Dry Heat after the break. You're watching Dry Heat with Mike Davis.
It's interesting. So you're at UNLV. You're this third string quarterback. Second, but then you said a little third too, right?
That was Alan Reynolds was third.
Oh, okay. So you were second string your
Randall
whole career.
was fourth. Sam, me, Alan, Randall.
Wow. So you were ahead of
Randall.
He was a freshman.
He probably could have just gone in and eaten it up, but we kind of had the system going. Sam led the nation in passing yards, Sam King. And Jimmy Sandusky is his All-America receiver. We beat BYU at BYU that year, 45-41. I didn't play a second, but Sam had a 500-yard game or something. Like, we were a decent team. And that was Tony Knapp's last year.
Okay.
And then Harvey Hyde came in, and then Randall the next year's, took off in his
okay, so tell me, because you were an honorable mention
in JC.
At JC.
Yeah,
then you go to UNLV, and then, you got some time.
Yeah, the first year, actually, I redshirted the first year. I was literally washing dishes about a week before practice, and I had my fingers in this little, and it broke, sliced my finger.
Oh.
So I couldn't play for like 3 weeks, and they redshirted me. 80 was the next year. A guy named Larry Gentry was the starter. I was second to him. Wrecked my ankle about game 5 or 6, so I was done for that year. They didn't think I was going to come back, but they were going to honor the scholarship. But I worked my way back. When you're young, I wanted to play one more year. So I got to, push Sam a little bit, and hopefully I helped in some ways, but I didn't play that much. I got in one start against Long Beach State.
And there's this notorious game versus Oregon, because
that wasn't great. That was 80. That was my.
That was 80, and that's where you have the fractured dislocation of your ankle.
Yeah, we're getting murdered. I'm in there to close out the game. Some idiot sticks his helmet on my ankle. Literally, last play game, I threw a terrible. It was wet. A ball slipped out, and now I'm on the ground. At the end, if people watch old football film, when it was film, and it always pans left to right, ends up on the scoreboard, and you can see me on the ground still. Everybody else is shaking hands.
I've seen them, yeah.
But yeah, and then strangely they flew me back here, and then I had surgery the next day. I think it was Sunrise Hospital, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I'm not
Sunrise,
positive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of a wreck. So fracture dislocation means you break the bone. And I tore it wasn't good. It was a bad injury. They didn't think I'd play again for sure, and not even sure if I'd walk normally or whatever. I just kind of willed it, and each year though, as I got older, it kind of got worse and worse, and more surgeries, more bone spurs, more calcium deposit, all that. And there came a time I was about 50, 52, 53, somewhere there. And I found this guy in Gig Harbor, which is near Tacoma, making these braces.
And that's the exosuit.
Yeah. He made them for veterans who are in situations like mine or worse. Could be anything. Guy fell out of a helicopter, got in an accident, got blown up. Anything could happen. And they're in a case similar to mine where your ankle doesn't work very well and you need this to do things you want to do. So it doesn't fix anything, but it masks the pain and it takes the pressure off the joint. So Gretchen, my wife, we started a foundation called Run Freely, runfreely.org. I was trying to look at the camera. And we raise money, and every time we raise a certain amount, we call the next veteran. Joe Montana helped us last year. Mike Penix, Dale Earnhardt, Jamal Crawford, Gary Payton, Steve Largent. Who did I leave out? Jerry Rice, Lenny Wilkins. I'm forgetting a couple names. Steve Kerr. Did I say him twice? He helped twice. All right.
That's great.
So I basically beg favors of famous people who I've come to know. Hey, would you be the prize? Joe Montana, will you throw 10 passes? You know, and every one of them afterward has been like, that was really cool. Like I did a cool thing for 10 minutes. And the next veteran's now pain-free.
Even here in Vegas, you did it at Bobby Flay's place, El Malfi's.
That was so fun.
And you had Montana with you, and you have all these veterans doing like a 5-yard route,
8-yard circle.
You know, and then Montana throws them a pass and they catch it. But to see the joy on their face and all that stuff, it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, go to runfreely.org, check out all the great work, because it's like a $10,000 device, but you're helping all these veterans who, you know, they deserve to have, you know, a good life and be able to, you know, not live free of pain
and
with things.
The stories are so good afterward. Like, we've had a couple cases where people got to go back to work. They're back making money. Other cases, they just want to go for a walk at the park with their kid. You know, like the things most of us take for granted. So I don't, because my ankle sucks, and I wear flip flops. Barefoot's the best. Flip flops second best. Slippers sometimes, but anytime I put my foot in any kind of shoe, it's weird. Like even a high top, it just doesn't work.
So all those years when you're anchoring at ESPN, what were you?
Barefoot mostly or flip flops. And then if I had to do a stand up where they saw me head to toe, I had these black fake dress shoes. They're really tennis shoes, but you could just slide into them.
Dry Heat with Mike Davis will be right back.
I can go like 2 more hours.
No,
I got nothing going on.
No, I appreciate it. Like, give and take with the universe. When you think about your life, as me as a guy, because I look up to you in so many ways, that mechanism and that fine line between really wanting something and going for it, and then also being able to let go. The fact that, like I was telling you when I first met you, I was like, you could have easily been on SNL. You could have easily done like a Second City type of thing, an SCTV. Like it's crazy for me to hear you say I wanted to be Ken Burns or Edward R. Murrow when it's so obvious your abilities lean one direction. It's kind of like, you know, a scrambling quarterback who's like deciding he doesn't want to use his legs and just be in the pocket the whole time. But it's like, come on, dude, like you should be using your legs. This is what you're meant to be doing.
You bring that up because years ago, in fact, it was one of Jimmy Kimmel's partners, a guy named Daniel Kellison. And Jimmy calls me and says, hey, my friend Daniel's trying to put a show together for Comedy Central, sports show. So there'd be the news show that they had and then do a sports comedy. And he said he's looking for a guy like you. And so I told him, maybe you call him as opposed to a guy like him. So Jimmy connects us, right? And we had this meeting with the head of Comedy Central.
It was going to be like a daily show for sports.
Exactly.
Right.
And it just never happened. But they did do it with Norm Macdonald, a similar idea, rest in peace, a couple years later, I think. They tried that for a bit. But that would have been fun.
The letter you sent to ESPN, there's a famous story behind
True
this.
story.
It's a true story. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, first, how much time? We have all the time in the world.
Yeah,
this thing, there's no time. What is time?
Exactly.
So I'm at Channel 11 still. This is 1989. I had just shot with Griffey, right? And I'm sorry, I shot with Griffey after. So I sent a tape to ESPN on the Super Bowl. The 49ers beat the Bengals. The Joe Montana drive. John Taylor left to right post.
The catch.
John Candy was that whole story, right? And I thought that was a good show. I did like a 4 or 5 minute sportscast. I sent it to ESPN, just blind. Hey, my name is Kenny Mayne. I'd like to work for you. And they got it back to me like a day later. I still remember Al Jaffe's his name. He said, send another tape. We want to see if that was a fluke. So I sent another tape. They bring me back for an interview. I did a tryout. This is like now, I think 90 of that year. And I don't get hired. They didn't think I was nerdy enough about sports, which is probably true, still is. Like I know how to do a show, but I don't necessarily know every player's name, and you know what I mean. And then I somehow decided to quit that job, the job I had, and I assembled garbage cans, sold prepaid legal insurance, sold long distance for MCI, and for like 4 years this goes on while I'm freelancing for ESPN. They had me do the Goodwill games. They had me do feature stories. They had me do interviews. And I was getting frustrated because I was like, I think I've proven you should just have hire me, leave me in Seattle. I'll do features, whatever. I didn't even want to be an anchor at that point. Just let me do my thing. And I just said, screw it. I'm going to send a dramatic wake-up letter. Nobody can read that and not be like, what? So I sent a letter, said, Dear John Walsh, please check the appropriate box as I'm trying to sort out my future. First one said, stand by the mailbox, contract's on the way. Second one said, we'll keep up the freelance work. And the third one said, we'll hire you about the time ESPN 5 hits the air. And they checked the middle box, mailed it back. And I think a month later, I got a call from Al Jaffe, we're going to hire you. You need to be here in a month. Can you get it together to be here in a month?
Wow.
That was spring of 94.
Oh, what a
so I'd been trying
story.
to get there for 5 years. And I hustled jobs. I worked for TSN, Prime, what was the other one? NBA Entertainment, ESPN, whoever would call. And I would even make up work. Like I would say the Seahawks were playing the Chiefs. I'd call the Kansas City TV stations and say, are you sending anybody to the game this week? And if the answer was no, would you like me to be your guy? And then I'll put it on a satellite. They'd send $1,000. I'd give the cameraman $450 or something. And,
You were a hustler.
You had to.
More Dry Heat after the break.
How are you going to say goodbye? What are we doing?
I've tried to say goodbye for about 30 minutes.
We're done, guys.
Listen.
None of this will ever air.
No, seriously.
I did the TV thing over there, and the audio didn't work for
the audio.
We didn't know if we went to anybody. Nobody saw it. We don't know. It might have worked. Might not have.
No, it did.
All right,
We're going to make sure people see this. Kenny Mayne, we love you. Thank you for all the tremendous years of entertainment, informing us, and just being such an inspiration to me.
Appreciate
personally.
it. Thanks for having me.
It's very cool for me. If the younger version of myself knew this was happening, I would be. I am freaking out, but it's fun how life happens like that. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching Dry Heat with Mike Davis. Go to our YouTube page, Silver State Sports, to hear our complete interviews.